From Tally to Cali,
It's time
to wake up.
Wake up! Wake up!
Warchant.com is your ultimate Seminole sports source.
And this is Wake Up Warchant, presented by Corner Pocket Bar and Grill.
One more corner pocket.
Now here's Warchant.com's Aslan Hajavandi
And Corey Clark.
Wake up! What is up, everybody? It is Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Coming up on today's show, the boys down in the Bayou. Jordan Travis at the Manning Passing Academy. Corey and I going through picks 11 through 15 of the Warchant Top 40, a recruiting wrap-up, and whatever else we feel like talking about, because that's what we do on the show. Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill, Tallahassee, Florida. CPTallybar.com is the website. You can always hit that QR code on your screen. It will take you right to the website, which is cptallybar.com. 2475 Appalachia Parkway. Lunch specials, weekdays, Monday through Friday. That's weekdays. $8.99 from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. on Monday. Victory Burgers, everybody. Half-pound Black Angus. Lettuce, tomato, onion. But you also get a side dish. You get broccoli, potato salad, maybe side salad, onion rings, curly fries, straight fries, tater tots, or freshly cooked potato chips. Only for $8.99 because they love you over at the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Give them a shout out when you're there. Be like, hey, Corey told me to come, because Corey loves it, man, and with good reason. I do too, but you know it's Corey's thing. I don't want to step too far into it. Warchant.com, the Ultimate Seminole Sports Source. Subscribe to the Ultimate Seminole Sports Source over at Warchant.com. Thumbs up, 5-star rating and review, and if you're listening to us on YouTube, thank you. Subscribe. Also, the recruiting wrap up is the video of Michael and I. That was like 20 minutes long, so eat it up, everybody. What's up, Corey? How are you, man?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. I was actually at Corner Pocket this weekend. They had live music on Friday night that I didn't know about, or we would have publicized. Although apparently they didn't need it because the place was slammed Friday night until Hot Mess was done with their sets. And then Saturday watched. Now look, we got a Game 3 coming up later today.
Ooh.
But Saturday night I was up there to watch the end of the Florida LSU game.
Nice. Classic,
So that
I
was
heard.
exciting.
Classic, I heard.
It was, yeah. And what was great about it, and I think people listening to this will know, we all know the annoying people in a sports bar that yell at the TV too loudly for something that's not that important. And no, it doesn't bother me when you're into a game. It doesn't bother me when you're upset. You're a Florida fan. It's a tough call that you got or whatever. You think you won the game, and then he lines out to left field or whatever it was. But don't start screaming at the TV loudly where everybody's turning their heads and looking at you, because I don't believe that you care that much. It's college baseball. What were you like when they lose to Florida State in football? Are you throwing stuff through a window? There's no way you're that riled up about a college baseball game. So it just bothered me. I didn't get into it with anyone. I did yell something back after the kid struck out on the next pitch for LSU to win the game, but I was pleasant enough. But yeah, it just, you guys know what I'm talking about. There's people that aren't, you can tell by the way they interact with the TV. They don't really know what they're talking about, and they don't know what they're yelling at. They couldn't name 4 people on that baseball team, and let they're yelling as if they just saw the president assassinated.
Well, you're pretty much screaming against the wind, man. You're trying to rehabilitate Florida fans, so good luck with that.
I know. It's my bad. It's my fault for even trying.
So when we eventually win this whole thing, because it just has to happen, and gosh, please don't let Florida win another one.
You're talking about the MCWS you're talking about now.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Do we want to just run through it? Do we just want to run roughshod? Do we just want to go 3-0 in regionals, 2-0 in supers, and then whatever, like 5-0 to win it? Or do we want to be epic and like be kind of like the Red Sox in 03 or 04? Sorry,
I think that's the only way it's going to happen.
Like just,
I think
they got to lose in regionals, go through the losers bracket, go to 3 games in the supers, go through the losers. Yeah, that's how I want it to. Yeah,
Not only go through to 3 games in the supers, be down in the 9th inning of game 2 after you've already lost game 1, maybe by 3 or 4 runs.
Okay.
That's why I thought that one year, it might have been the year they beat Sam Houston State to get out there, when they were down to like their last strike against Auburn.
Yes.
And then Dylan Busby hits a double or a triple off the wall to tie it, and then I think they won on a hit by pitch.
Yes.
And then Will Zerzow comes in and throws a complete game 2-hit shutout. A guy that hadn't really started all year and had like 11 innings all year throws a 9-inning complete game shutout. You're like, well, this is what it's going to take. This is exactly how Florida State, who was not great, this is how they're going to go win in Omaha. And you know what? It didn't happen. They lost LSU in game 1 because why wouldn't they? Cal Raleigh makes basically 2 errors on 1 play. Stephen Wells has a ball go under his glove somehow. Yeah. They boot around the game and they lose, and then that's Florida State out there. But yes, when they do win it, there's no way it's going to be easy. Yeah. Just cruise. Wait, did Cruise go 8-1 in the postseason? No. They're gonna be down to their last strike multiple times, down to the last out probably 3 or 4 times. They're gonna find a way to win it.
I know it happened last week, but we didn't talk about it on the show, so it's almost like it never even happened. But our guy, Chuck Ristano, a.k.a. Flick of the Ristano, gave way, took a head coaching job at Army or Navy, was it? Army, I think, right?
I feel like it's Army. You should know that.
Go through First Instinct,
one of our great
kids.
Service academies.
Go through First Instinct, kids. They got him replaced. Micah Posey is now the pitching coach.
Yep.
Strong name. Something Hosem Posey or something like that's his Twitter handle. So apparently to get on Link's good side, you need to have a really strong social media presence. So I know people were talking about, you're going to keep the pitching coach. Well, obviously that decision was kind of made for Link. What are your thoughts about having to retool this entire thing kind of from they're not just putting a new coat of paint on this thing. They're kind of ripping it down to the studs now, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, this is what you pay Link for, though, right? Like, clearly Ristano and our guy that just took the job at UCF.
Rich Wallace.
Yeah, they weren't hired based on what they did at Florida State, clearly. Yeah. They just had the worst season in school history, which tells you how great the job they did at Notre Dame was, that now all 3 coaches got head coaching jobs essentially off that super regional win over Tennessee. All 3 of the coaches that were in that dugout for Notre Dame are all now head coaches because of those kids winning that best 2 out of 3 in Tennessee to go to the Super Regional or to go to Omaha. But yeah, I think it's fine. It's not like Link was working with Ristano for a long time, 3 years, right? And one of them was a COVID year. And also the whole roster is going to be different, right? I mean, it might literally be 20 new faces. So it's not like you had a lot of you had a lot of continuity within the or you were going to have a lot of continuity within the program. You wanted this one voice with the pitchers. All the pitchers are going to be brand new anyway, or a good portion of them. A lot of the lineup is going to be brand new. So I don't think it's a big deal to not have continuity. And to I think Link, you have to trust that he'll make the right hire. And again, I think with baseball, all those positions all the assistant positions are important, clearly, especially the pitching coach, in my opinion. But Link's the key. There's only 3 spots, right? There's only 3 jobs, coaching jobs. It's not like football
full-time,
when there's 10.
Right.
There's 11 plus 30 off the field guys. It's baseball. There's 2 full-time assistants and a GA. So it really does matter. The guy that's running the show is the biggest reason for all of it. He is the guy that controls everything, and you still got him, and you believe in him. So we'll see how he does with the new faces.
It's Pose the Hose is his Twitter handle. So
I like it.
Go give him a follow, kids.
No relation to Buster or Jack, by the way, either of the Posey brothers.
Yeah. Comes via Dallas Baptist, so strong program out there. So good get for Link and the boys. All right, let's talk football. I was over in lovely Houma, Louisiana, also Thibodaux, Louisiana, west, like between New Orleans and Baton Rouge, I think it is, down in the boot is what they call it. Manning Passing Academy. A Nole was out there. Jordan Travis joins other luminaries like Alex Hornibrook. E.J. Manuel was out there. So I actually saw Archie, and I was talking to the organizer. I'm like, do you have like an official master list? He's like, kind of, but not really. He's like, just you ask me, I'll tell you if a guy's been here or not. And I'm like, Chris Winkie. He's like, yeah. Well, actually, wait, I don't know. I'm like, okay. I'm like, Chris Ricks. He's like, yeah. Well, actually, I don't know. Hey, Archie. And so, like, we're talking about all this. Archie's still sharp as ever. Archie's like, we had the one guy whose wife's the sportscaster. And I'm like,
okay, yeah. Nice.
I'm like, yeah, we know that. So Christian Ponder's been there. EJ was there. Jameis was there. So we went on a bit of a tear there a while back. Hornibrook, they also mentioned Mackenzie Milton in the conversation. I'm like, thanks, guys. Appreciate it. That's not quite helpful. But anyhow, Jordan out there, part of it. A big deal, man, because I wish, 5 years ago when we started the show, Corey, I would have been able to sell you on going out there with with Brady, you guys would have had a blast. Although I don't think you would have passed the prerequisite of going out there as a father, which is like you have to be an out-of-shape dad. Like all the dads out there were just hoping against all hope that their kid's going to be like a gunslinger. It's like, yeah, probably not, man. But thanks for being out here and bringing your kid. You, Mark from Naples, just too good looking, too in shape to be part of the sort of the way I classify.
You wouldn't think that, though, would you? With like hot shot quarterbacks.
No, yeah,
they usually come from pretty good looking families.
They do. It's crazy how that all works. Anyhow, that's not what you're here for. But the fact that Jordan was like picked out to be part of this. I mean, Jaden Daniels was there, Joe Milton, who has an absolute freaking howitzer attached to his thorax. Check out the video of the highlights from the Air It Out challenge they had. But I think this kind of goes another step into, I don't know. I don't want to play armchair pop psychologist here, Corey. But, man, whenever we talk to Jordan about his journey, man, it doesn't take long for him to remind all of us that he remembers being booed by this fan base. And listen, I'm not casting any stones. I didn't believe in him. I never thought we would be anything close to what he has become. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm happy as heck for the kid. But it just feels like he tells us how confident he is. It sure has to help when you're kind of selected and you got this notoriety now, man. I think this is obviously a real good sort of buoy, a wind at his back as we head into his final season here.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting when you asked him about his confidence, and I wrote about it. He kind of chuckled and was like, by the way, that's on the website too. Go watch Aslan's video, the one-on-one exclusive.
Exclusive.
Nobody else was out there.
No.
Nobody else drove out to Louisiana, but our man A-Train did.
Well, there was somebody from Florida State did, but nobody else from the beat.
Nobody was there asking questions, were they, Aslan?
No.
Just you.
Yeah.
But yeah, when he kind of chuckled, like, yeah, basically like it's my 6th year. I need to be confident. But he is. I mean, he's, again, there's one thing to be like, believe in yourself. There's another thing to know in yourself. And he knows he can do it. He's seen it. There is no reason for him not to be, literally, other than Caleb Williams, I would think he's the most confident quarterback in the country. He really, truly believes that he's an awesome football player. Not only that, he's proven it. And that just, again, we talk about it all the time, how important confidence is at that position, but just in life and athletics. And he's brimming with it. So, yeah, I do think that helps to go out there. Just to have Mannings talk to you, for them to know your name helps. I don't think he needed any more confidence boosts. I would assume scrambling around against the Florida defense like he's playing against children and throwing for 450 against Oklahoma gave him all the confidence he needed. But still, any little boost, I guess, help. And I just think it's cool to see a Florida State quarterback that belongs there. Because as you mentioned, the last guy that was there that ended up playing at Florida State, Hornibrook, did not belong there. And that's kind of what I wrote, is like, I didn't want to really drag Hornibrook through the mud when I wrote the story. But the last time Florida State had a player there that you went out there, it was 19, right?
Yes.
It was Hornibrook was the summer after he'd announced he was transferring. He'd already done some player run drills, and he was a counselor, or whatever they call him, out there at the Manning Passing Academy.
Correct.
And you went out there and interviewed him. Mm-hmm. And to think, like, on that team, Jordan Travis was an absolute afterthought. He never got on the field except when the head coach got fired in November. That head coach would have rather played Alex Hornibrook and James Blackman. And then 2 years later, this head coach decided to start a one-legged Mackenzie Milton. And now here we are after 20 starts or whatever it's been since that Jacksonville State game for Jordan Travis, that he is considered one of the best quarterbacks in the country, and he's at the Manning Passing Academy, and he's one of the big names. That's just not a journey that most of the guys there have. Most of them have the Penix jersey where they start their second year, or Caleb Williams. I don't think he was there, but Drake May. These guys that are huge names and win starting jobs early in their careers. This guy was not the actual starting quarterback, bona fide, unquestioned, till his 5th year in college. So, yeah, it's a cool story that he was there. Now he needs to go win a Heisman and a championship.
Yeah, it was cool. When he was finally spotted out there after that interview, man, like he was on his way to head back to Tallahassee. And, man, I don't want to say he got swarmed, but like a lot of these campers, and they were actually getting ready to start the day off with the counseling sessions and everything. Like, man, they kind of beeline towards Jordan and were like asking for selfies, asking for autographs. So, like, he is – and he's known too, man. Like this fan base obviously loves and adores him too. But man, there's 10, 12, 14-year-old kids out there that, like they know who Jordan Travis is and like they wanted his photo, they want his autograph. And, he goes from being booed, goes from being passed over by James Blackman and Alex Hornibrook to, he's being at that absolute elite kind of fraternity event if you're a quarterback in college and all these guys wanting his autograph and everything. So, let's go win some games now. Let's go win a whole bunch of games. Full interview, almost 10 minutes worth of Jordan and I. It's up on the YouTube channel. Go check that out. Thanks to Corey for knocking out a story while I drove back from lovely Homa. I had to set some kind of record, man. I was scooting. It was a fun drive. I miss having a car that actually goes fast. Kind of want to get
you talking about being on I-10?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just, man, I think it said 6.5 hours. I think I got back to Tallahassee in like 5:45.
Nice.
Yeah.
Look at you.
You're
driving safely at a high rate of speed.
I was like the fourth car in the caravan, 2 car lengths behind.
Got it. Okay,
looking out for each other. It was fun. That said, I don't know, Tate. If you don't want to go next year, you can decline the invite. It's fine. I won't be mad at you.
You've already done it. You've done it twice now for us, right? Or did you go? Yeah, you didn't go in 18.
No.
So, yeah, you've done it twice now. That's enough. That's more than enough. We've done it. Well, I say that. What if some hotshot, what if Drake May, it's your first time you get to talk to Drake May since he transferred from North Carolina. You're probably going to want to be over in Louisiana, I guess.
Yeah, that was, now that I think about it, like that was the whole novelty of it is like we had not spoke to Hornibrook yet, and we did not have the access. We had decent access, but we did not obviously have what Mike Norvell's provide. I was like, all right, well, let's go. Because it really is, man. The 2-lane, it was funny. Like Jordan didn't show up for the press conference like the first day, and like I don't know how it feels like to deal with grief, everybody. Like, but now I think I know what it'll be like when my parents pass away and I have a funeral for them. Like everybody comes up to you and offers you condolences. Like everybody's like, oh, you're the guy that drove all the way from Tallahassee and Jordan's not here right now. I'm like, yeah, that's me. But then the 2-lane SID was like also apologizing. Like I tell everybody, like this is like an absolute hidden gem. I don't know why more of you guys don't come out here. It's 45 minutes of talking to these kids with absolutely no supervision, which it's true. Like he's like an SID volunteering just to like move some chairs around. He's not watching and lording over us. So who knows if they do get some big hot shot transfer? I'll probably go back. And who knows? It's the middle of June. What else am I going to do? How else can I be of resource to all you subscribers?
The only real problem with Jordan is he's his 6th year. He's mature. He's been doing this a long time. He's not going to give you a ton of juicy stuff because it's not even that he's well coached. He's too smart. He knows how to talk. He knows how to give platitudes to his teammates, but not say, I was going to say bulletin board material, whatever the equivalent of that is now in 2023. Yeah. He knows not to say stuff like that. He has a personality. He's not rude, but he is not going. You're not going to get him like off the cuff, like that Jalen Ramsey interview a few years ago where he called out all the quarterbacks and all the receivers that suck in the NFL. Jordan Travis isn't going to go down that road for you.
What about his journey, do you think? And, you talked about platitudes. Maybe it was a platitude, who knows? But he was just talking about how good he has it at Florida State because of his running backs, his offensive line, who he called special. He can just throw the ball up to whoever, and he's got receivers.
I hate to interrupt you, but because I watched the whole interview. Again, I implore all of you guys to go watch it. Make it worth Aslan's while. He went all the way over there. Go watch that interview. And Jordan Travis was nice enough. I know he didn't show up on that first day, but he was nice enough to give you an exclusive and sit there with you or stand there with you on the final day. But when he was going through the team, I mean, you know what I'm about to say, right? Because I put it in my story. It's awesome. It made me laugh. I don't know that Jordan Travis has ever made me laugh. It made me laugh. So he's talking about, I think it was when you asked him about Keon Coleman.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't, but he started talking about Keon Coleman, and then he started talking about his football team. And he's like, look, I've got an offensive line that's great and experienced. They're special.
Call him special.
He says special a lot. Yeah. He talked about Keon Coleman being special. Obviously, Johnny Wilson. He goes, we have a great defense, man. It's an unbelievable defense. I got Ryan Fitzgerald at kicker. And I stopped typing. And but not because I'm making fun of Fitzmagic, just the thought process to include him. You know what I mean? Like just the thought process.
Exactly,
maybe they're good friends. They could be, I guess. But I thought that was really cool that he would make sure to mention the kicker, the much maligned kicker. That might not even be his kicker in a couple of months. I thought that was really funny that Jordan Travis did that, just to think about calling out the kicker. Not calling out, praising the kicker when he's talking about all the other great players on the football team.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. I mean, I've been a little sincere, maybe a little bit tongue-in-cheek, but I think the fact of Jordan's journey here and knowing that, like, listen, he was buried on the depth chart, got a shot, maybe didn't make the most of it, or, I don't want to make too much of the fans booing. Every fan base does it. Don't be ashamed about it or anything. Don't do it all the time, but anyhow, I just wonder if, like, him knowing what that feels like, that empathy, like that humanity he really has, that he has gone through, that maybe not, I don't think Caleb Williams has ever gone through. I wonder how much that endears him to his teammates, how much of that, like, he really is like, man, like, I gotta lift up Ryan because I know I'm going to need him at some point this season, like what we're chasing, what we're going after. I just wonder like how much of what he's really gone through makes him like a real awesome teammate to a guy like Ryan Fitzgerald. Because that, we could laugh about this, but if you're Ryan Fitzgerald and you hear that, you're probably like, damn, awesome, cool, I like that, man. Yeah. Thank you, Jordan. I appreciate it.
That's a good point, and he has such a unique perspective that most hotshot quarterbacks have never had. Now, all quarterbacks face criticism. I'm sure Caleb Williams did at Oklahoma. He probably didn't last year. Maybe he did for the stuff he'd write on his nails or his shoes or whatever it was, which was ridiculous. But not because of an old fuddy-duddy. But why does Caleb Williams hate who'd they play in the bowl game that they lost to?
Tulane.
Yeah. What's he writing F Tulane for? There's no way you have hard feelings about Tulane. Anyway, But Travis, having gone through, he went through, not only getting booed, are people wanting somebody else to play the position. That does happen to a lot of quarterbacks. He was behind Alex Hornibrook and James Blackman, and he had a coaching staff completely dismiss him as a potential player. Completely. Well, really, too, I assume Louisville might count in that argument, too. But Willie Taggart and his brain trust thought so little of Jordan Travis that they never even contemplated playing him in a game that mattered. Not even contemplated it. And it's not like he was playing behind E.J. Manuel or Christian Ponder. He was playing behind two, at best, mediocre college quarterbacks. Love you, JB, but you weren't a good college quarterback at Florida State. You also had a horrible offensive line. I'll give you all the qualifiers. But so he went through that, man. And then when he finally does get a starting spot, it's basically because nobody else can do it. They're all true freshmen, and they go 3-6 during a COVID year. Like, nobody has had this kind of ascension at quarterback to go from a complete afterthought on a bad football team, can't even get on the field, to now he's the starting quarterback, maybe a Heisman contender on a preseason top 5-8 team. It's just a really cool story, and I hope we don't lose sight of it because now it's just he's just a part of the DNA of the program and the fabric, and we've come to just know that Jordan Travis is a good football player. Man, there aren't many that have gone through journeys like this. So it's cool that, so with that in mind, he can relate to Ryan Fitzgerald. He can relate to a cornerback that has a bad week or a receiver that drops a couple of passes or a running back that fumbles. Nobody's felt probably worse about their football career, their football lives, than Jordan Travis did sitting behind Hornibrook and Blackman. Well, that's just my opinion anyway.
Last thing on that, I think I included it like in the kind of recap video that I did out there. But, again, they're not going to sneak up on anybody. He talks about they just have to keep doing what they've done and attack every day the same way they have. But, man, it's different. Like, they're not sneaking up on anybody. There is legitimate expectations for them. And he says that, like, as players, we talk about it. He's like, Coach Norvell doesn't talk about it, but he mentioned it. I guess, I don't know, maybe after spring or maybe when they kind of reported back for summer. I don't know if that's like a headline storyline or anything, but, I mean, that kind of caught my ear a little bit too, man. Like, the head coach, I mean, he'll hint it at us. I mean, he talks about he doesn't want to put any limits on this team, but the fact like he would never mention that word or those words explicitly, like national championship or natty, maybe he calls it, old Mike Dog. The fact that he's bringing that up, man, again, just kind of underscores just how talented this team is and how legitimate of a shot they have at pulling this thing off.
Yeah, and I really liked what he talked about when you asked him about accolades and preseason stuff, and he said, yeah, that's great, but we are looking for the postseason accolades is what we care about, and I do believe that. And he did say he said they've been down in the dumps forever, and they've always had that mindset of having to prove themselves. And, again, it's talk. We'll see. But I do like that the leader of the team is still frequently saying that. Every time he gets in front of a microphone, he talks about the mindset not changing just because the preseason expectations have. So, again, you've got to keep reinforcing that, because if this team goes into 2023 thinking they've accomplished anything, they're going to be in for they just haven't. They're going to be in for a dose of reality if they lose that first game, because, again, you're talking about a fan base that was excited last year, but this fan base is used to bigger and better than Cheez-It Bowls. So hopefully this football team, and I think they do, and I think the head coach on down preaches it, and the quarterback too, they want more than that. They're not about just 10-3 and Cheez-It Bowls. They're chasing something bigger than that. And this fan base expects something bigger than that now.
Shout out to Vitamin Energy, vitaminenergy.com, promo code WARCHANT, BOGO, B-O-G-O, on my way out the door on Thursday to head to Homa, to head to Thibodaux, to Louisiana. I'm like, man, I got to make sure I probably have some Vitamin Energy, right? Like, I'm going to be a long drive. Made it out there, no problem. And then I'm like, all right, day one, got to wake up a little earlier than usual. Things don't work out as scheduled. I'm like, uh-oh, I came all the way out here. Is this all going to be a bust? I'm like, let me just relax. There's a long day ahead of me. Took my half shot of Vitamin Energy Mood. Put everything in perspective, went out and filmed the Friday night Air It Out contest at the Manning Passing Academy, which you can check out on our YouTube channel. Everybody's slinging it. Fun times. And then the next day, things don't work out either, and I'm like, what's going on? Why is the world conspiring against me? I take a deep breath. I take the other half of my Vitamin Energy Mood Plus. Nice. Vitamin Energy, folks. Energy with benefits. Tastes great. Supports weight loss. Gives you 7 hours of energy. The drive there and back, dealing with all the scheduling conflicts. I was all right. And everybody, guess, newsflash, I'm kind of uptight. Just a little bit uptight. But it kept me on the level. The Vitamin Energy Mood, I swear by it. The tropical berry flavor is what I prefer. Check them out, vitaminenergy.com. There's Florida State folks at the helm. They're offering the promo code WARCHANTBOGO. Shake it and take it. Try it. You'll like it. vitaminenergy.com. Again, promo code WARCHANTBOGO.
Have you taken one of those before a date?
Ooh.
I mean, look,
life hack.
This isn't a shot.
Hack.
I'm not taking a shot at you, Aslan. It might sound like it's going to be one.
Okay.
But you've gone through a long portion of your life going on these dates without Vitamin Energy Mood.
Yeah.
And it hasn't maybe worked out the way you're hoping. So let's switch it up a little.
Okay.
Let's get that mood altered just a little bit. We're not talking about huge mood-altering drugs.
Yeah,
These aren't even drugs. This is all natural.
Yeah.
But alter that mood just a little bit, and, buddy, you might be married within the month.
Okay. I'll have a date to the wedding. That's my target.
There we go. You'll have a +1.
Have a date to the
nice.
Have a date to the Clark wedding. vitaminenergy.com, promo code WARCHANTBOGO. The top 40 continues. The Warchant preseason top 40. The original FSU preseason top 40, mind you. I don't think Corey and I went through our pick 16 to 20. That's already been posted. There's already a video up there. So, it'll remain a mystery who we had slotted at 16 to 20. Let's reconvene. Pick it back up, Corey. 11 to 15. Who do you got number 15 on your list? Warchant.com preseason top 40, Corey.
I've got Kylan Deloach.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty understandable, right? And it's self-explanatory, but he's a starting linebacker. I thought to end 2021, he was the best defensive player on the team, not named Jamie Robinson, and I thought he started 2022 strong. Wasn't in love with the way he or Bethune finished last season, but also, they didn't have a defensive line in front of them. We actually talked about this on Headline. We talked about it in the video that we did that you can see on our YouTube channel, the Warchant YouTube channel, breaking down the 20 to 16 the 20 to 16 players on the list because of Bethune, and how we are really interested to see how Deloach and Bethune play with this kind of defensive line in front of them. Cooper was hurt, as we all know. Lovett didn't play, barely played the season. Now you have such a good, we think, a strong, stout, talented defensive line, especially in the middle. That should free up your linebackers to go make plays. And I think Deloach might – this is it. This is his chance. But I think he has a chance to go from a solid college starter to a good college linebacker. He's shown flashes, but he might be ready to take that next step. And he's a big piece of this defense, man. That
sounds great. But I always feel like for me it's their responsibility in the pass game that I'm a little bit concerned about. So I hope the defensive line playing better. Maybe less clean pockets, less, clean, easy platforms to throw off of, makes it easier for these linebackers to get their job done in coverage. I do wonder how much of the synergy will work out between that, because when it comes to Kylan's going to get to the ball carrier. I trust that. Just him and Tatum, if they don't see it first initially and a guy's released out the backfield and they have to get in coverage, like that's where I get my concerns. But that's almost universal with any linebacker. So, but yes, the front six nonetheless should be much more improved, and hopefully that front four will pave the way for those guys. 15 for me, I got Robert Scott. I think he's going to be your starting left tackle, health provided it works out that he's able to rehab, which I don't know. I need to start making sense more on this show. My whole shtick has been like I don't believe guys that are less than a year removed off major surgery, season-ending injuries. But I don't know what made me change my heart on that. But I put Robert Scott at 15. He's your starting left tackle. I did not do the Jeff Cameron and just put a position. I probably could have just put left tackle there, but I put Robert Scott. Right. I put Robert Scott. Look who you got at 14, Corey.
I was
Clark.
going to say we could just keep going. Just to piggyback on you for a second, you're talking about a guy that, provided he's 100% healthy and ready to go. Like many players this spring, he was limited to a certain extent. But if he's ready to go, he's your starting left tackle, in my opinion. And he's a guy that's played a ton, just like every other lineman on this team, has played a ton of football for you. And that's a huge position of import. So that's why he would be there. I think he has the potential to be an NFL offensive lineman. Not saying he's there yet, but I think he has the potential to be. I think he was good last year, and he's gotten better each year. So if you can count on that again, then yeah, man, you got yourself a nice left tackle.
Okay, so that's pick number 15 for me. It's 14 for Corey. 14 for me, Maurice Smith, the anchor of this offensive line. He's not your prototypical size, but the guy just shows up. He's readily available, has the trust, the respect of his teammates. I think, maybe what he lacks in size, he makes up for in athleticism. And for whatever reason, man, I don't think Alex Atkins did it on purpose. But any sort of challenge that's been put forth of Maurice, man, he's come through it with his head held high and worked his hardest and done the best thing for the team. So I would be absolutely shocked if he's not the starting center for this top 5 preseason program. 14, Maurice Smith for me.
Agreed. Can't really say anything other than I agree with you. And that's an important position. I would have liked to seen Casey Roddick snap the ball a little better.
Yeah.
In the spring. But again, like we said, he might have been working around the clock the last 3 or 4 months to get the snaps under control. And maybe he's like a marksman with it now. Like he can hit a squirrel from 50 yards away with a snap. We don't know. I don't know how hard he's been working on it. But if he's been working at it and the ball isn't hit by the quarterback's ankles or bouncing into their shins, maybe there's a serious challenger there to Maurice Smith. My 13, and look, we're all going to be, and when you look and see the list that'll be on Warchant, I think later today, if not later today, certainly on Tuesday, of the actual composite 11 through 15, you're going to see a lot of who these names are. You know who hasn't been called yet, and who's going to be very important to this team. But my 13 is Renardo Green. Yep. Again, just as solid a cornerback as you could want. Right? Didn't give up many or any real big plays last year. Made some big plays, was so solid too, man. Just was a solid guy. You didn't know what was going on at the other position, at the other cornerback, whether it was Azarie or somebody else, and Brownlee left before the season. You didn't know if Greedy Vance or Jarian Jones, you didn't know who was going to be in the mix. But, buddy, Renardo, you knew where number 8 was, and he was solid and steady the whole season, and you can't overstate how valuable that is to have a cornerback like that. Experienced dude, too.
He graded out at 73.5 last year, 594 snaps, graded out at 70 the year before that. So you saw year-over-year progress. I mean, the only ding on his PFF grade was like the Wake Forest game, and I think he got lost on a scramble drill kind of thing with Sam Hartman. So I won't hold that against him. We all have our moments or whatever. But, yeah, man, Renardo's the best cornerback on this team.
Yeah.
So, and he's a guy that, came in and had to work at safety a little bit, but he's kind of found his footing, and I like that pick. 13, I'm going to stick with a cornerback, but not Renardo Green. I got Greedy Vance. I don't know, kind of maybe hindsight, putting your slot, your projected, I would say, starting slot cornerback at 13 might be a little overvaluing that position. But I just think, like, Greedy's ability at that position. Like, he just seems to fit so well into what they want done at that position. And I'm a prisoner of the moment. What have you done for me lately? And he might have been playing the best ball out of anybody on that side of the football the last 4 or 5 games of the season. So really excited to see how much growth he can make this season. I just think with his sort of versatility, I know slot is probably where he'll reside at most of the time. But if somebody goes down, I don't think there'll be a lot of hesitation to let him go outside on the edges and hold things down. So I got Jamie Greedy Vance, Louisiana Pocket 13, Corey.
Edna Carr, right? Wasn't that the school?
Yes.
Destiny Hill?
Yeah. Destin Hill.
Destiny. But I wonder if his middle initial is like Edmund or something.
Yeah. Ooh.
His middle name is Edmund. Then he is Destiny Hill. I had Greedy Vance at 25. I'm only saying that. It's no spoiler. We've already talked about it. But I think it might, like you talked about, it's more about a positional thing and just being the slot corner. And not 100% sure he's going to win that job, but I think he will. And again, it goes back to, look, the football has changed so much. Slot corner is an important position. Like, being the third corner is probably more important than being the number 2 linebacker. You know what I mean? As much as teams throw the ball now and try to get you in space, you better be good at that slot corner. And Greedy Vance was very good last year. And I think what you didn't mention, he was darn good in the spring too.
Yes.
And so was Renardo Green. Like, these aren't just colored. We're not just making these rankings colored on, some games against Syracuse and Florida. I mean, we're talking about what we saw for 6 weeks in the spring. And those 2 guys, in my opinion, were the 2 best guys on the team in the defensive backfield. Jarian had a nice spring too, but I thought that Renardo and Greedy were the 2 best in the spring. And so now we go to number 12 for me, number 12 for me, and I think Aslan, I might be mistaken. I think this is the first. No, we also had Tatum. We didn't even go through our 20 to 16, but we had Tatum. Both of us had Tatum at 18, Tatum Bethune at 18, and right now both of us have Darrell Jackson at number 12.
Yeah, that's right.
How about
man.
that? Great minds. Look, you were talking about a guy that he's my third. I have 3 defensive tackles in the top 12. Not try to spoil anything, but that's how important a position I think that is. That's how important I think it is. More than anything, again, it's not necessarily the best players. It's the most impactful or most important. And we know this offense is going to be really, really good. If this defense can just be good, take away the 2 reallys, just be good, you do have a chance to win a championship. And to be good, you have to be good, really, really good up front. And Darrell Jackson helps in that regard a ton. Yeah. He was very impressive in the spring. He's played a lot of football. He is a big, massive dude. And when you rotate him in with the guys that they already have in the defensive interior, that is a big, big deal for Adam Fuller. It could be a difference maker between winning a championship or not. Now he needs to just get the stupid waiver cleared. So we know for sure he's on the football team.
11, I don't have anything to add to that. Well said, Corey. Thank you, man. 11, I say at that position, I've got Fabian Lovett. Maybe just a smidge ahead of Darrell. I've got Fabian. Just think that both of them have the same urgency in terms, I think, of wanting to do the best this season to help this team achieve their potential, but also for them to fulfill their individual potential of being NFL players. But Fabian, he wanted it so bad last year, and things went sideways with that LSU game where he got hurt at it was the last drive, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe the final play before the potential game tying setup touchdown. But yeah, Fabian, just to me, everything has to line up now. I mean, he's going to be probably the oldest guy by a year or 2 against everybody that he's going to be facing this season. Just that old man strength is going to have to factor in at some point. So I think Fabian's ready to lead on the field with his actions and also be kind of more of a vocal guy. So I've got Fabian Lovett at number 11.
Yeah, I get it all. I'll be talking about him the next time we do a show, so I'm not going to go too in depth. But yeah, we just understand that the defensive tackle, defensive line position is extremely important to this team, because that was, wouldn't you say, Aslan, especially at the end of the year, that was maybe the weakness of the team.
Yeah.
With Lovett not playing or not playing well when he did try to play, and I speak mainly about the Florida game. He played a ton of snaps in the Florida game, but clearly wasn't himself. Didn't even play against Oklahoma. Robert Cooper wasn't himself at all. They just weren't strong in the middle. They did not have a good run defense. They did not have a good defensive line, except for Jared Verse. And Now they will. They should. That's why this is so important, because you think about what that team could have done last year with a stout defensive line through 12 games to go along with that offense. And this offense will be better than that offense, or should be. So that's why, again, it's a very important position. My number 11 is one of the transfers. Is it the first transfer? No, it's not. We've had plenty of other ones. It's Jeremiah Byers.
Yep.
Don't know where he'll play, but I do think he will start. And I think he will be an important part of that offense. He is a big mountain of a human being that can move. And is, again, just like they all have, has played a ton of football. And is going to be a huge benefit, a huge boost to an already good offense.
Yeah. I should have been doing this. I meant to do this more often throughout the countdown, but I failed the last 2 times here. But just in case people were wondering, let me see here. Robert Scott was ranked 10th last year on the composite. Again, this is not the composite. These are Corey and I's individual picks. But, Robert Scott was 10th on the composite. Renardo was 25th.
No.
So that just shows you how much improvement he's kind of made year over year. It's kind of crazy. Greedy Vance was 32nd. Maurice Smith was 28th.
What was Johnny Wilson?
Johnny Wilson was 27th.
Yes, he just trust this, folks. He is higher on this list.
Yeah. Jarrett Jackson, who's no longer with the program, is at Michigan State. I think, we probably thought he was like, your 3rd, 4th defensive tackle?
Yeah.
He was 35th. Now those guys are, we're talking about, Darrell Jackson might be 3rd, behind maybe Fisk and, Fabian Lovett, or figure out how you want to arrange those guys. But it's just crazy to look back at where we were just 1 year ago, man. Just one single year
and I
ago.
was going to say, so in the composite, and I can say this because we've already published it and we've done videos on it. So right now we have, and we haven't even gone to we just mentioned 2 of them, but we had on the composite, Joshua Farmer is 17th on the list. Braden Fisk is 18th on the list. And Fabian Lovett and Darrell Jackson have not shown up yet. So just know that on this particular team in the composite, 4 of what we think are the 18 most important football players on the team are defensive tackles.
And this
Not
is
just defensive linemen, just defensive tackles.
And this is a team that we love the offense, and it's going to be offensive-centric, right? So
Yep.
Factor that in, everybody. All right, I think that's about it for us. Let's catch up with Michael Langston talking recruiting. But first, how about mybookie.ag? They've got conference selections out there for the upcoming season here. You can bet anything, anytime, anywhere at mybookie.ag. Using the promo code WARCHANT, though, will get you an instant cash deposit bonus. ACC conference winner, Clemson plus 152, Florida State plus 162. That's just I don't know, man. Like I don't see the upshot in putting the money on Florida State at that one. You might as well go to the 1875 or whatever it is now for them to win it all. I don't like that play necessarily. What do you think about that, Corey?
I agree. Or if you want to get risky, wait until you're not going to root for this clearly. But if Florida State loses to LSU or loses at Clemson, those numbers will spike.
Yes.
They'll probably go from plus 162 to plus 300. And that's when you hop on it. Especially if they lose at Clemson, right?
Yes.
I think that number will double at least, and that's where you can get some good value. But hold on, Aslan's right. Hold off for now. If you're going to bet on Florida State to win anything, do they? Can you do it where you just who makes the playoff? Or does it have to be national championship?
It's just national championship right now. I don't see a pick for that one.
Okay.
But just in case people are wondering, Miami has the same odds of winning the ACC as Florida State has of winning the entire thing, the national title.
Okay.
So
what are Georgia Tech's odds to win the ACC?
plus 11,000.
Yikes. Boston College?
Boston College is it's covered by my little betting window here. Plus 9,500. Virginia's got the longest odds, plus 13,000.
And NC State?
They're fourth. They're fifth, rather. They're ahead of Miami at plus 1025.
Yeah, and they've never won it. Never really come close, so, they're due.
I hope we're still doing this. I hope we're alive. Actually, who cares about NC State? Bet anything, anytime, anywhere over at mybookie.ag using that promo code WARCHANT. Michael Langston talking about all things recruiting coming up right after this. All right, Michael Langston, you were posted up at the Moore Center all weekend long because it was a really, really busy weekend of official visits. Let's start off with Jonathan Daniels, probably, maybe the most highly coveted, a consensus 4-star, but our network on 3 has him as a 5-star. So all the stars that you'll see at the bottom of your screen, we're going by consensus because I guess that's what everybody's supposed to do.
Okay.
What do you think Jonathan Daniels took away from his visit to Florida State? How do you check the temperature and feel he's trending right about now after a good weekend in Tallahassee?
I think the temperature's pretty hot for FSU, and I think they did a phenomenal job. Just everything they presented to him, they've stayed consistent of what they are. I've said that's important for FSU because you don't want to, just because things are, other schools are recruiting different ways, you don't want to change who you are and the way you do things. And I think they've stayed really consistent, done a great job as far as just making it personal with relationships, but also showing him the evaluations of what they do with development and offensive linemen. And I think Jonathan's always liked Alex Atkins as one of his favorite coaches. And I think tonight this weekend they just knocked it out of the park. I really like where FSU sits. I even put a RPM pick for FSU this morning based on the intel I was gathering throughout the weekend. I think he's more of an interior guy. I know some people have mentioned offensive tackle, but I think he's more of a interior guy that I think he could also play right tackle if you need him to. You put in the crosshairs there, but I think with his size, I think he's 6'4". I saw it legit again today, 6'4". It just has that guard size, and his game kind of has the feel of a guard, but would be a tremendous pickup for FSU, and I think FSU is eventually going to get good news when he, I think, announces a decision. I think it's going to be around Independence Day and July 4th. I think it's going to be around that, either the day before or around that date. So I think they should get some good news there.
Is there anything going on between now and then? Is he going to go check out any other schools? I know a lot of people are obviously, impatient. They wanted him to go ahead and flip now, but sounds like things are all right. But maybe next 10 days or so, you're thinking?
It's a dead period, so they'll be in the dead period in July. So I think he's done. I don't think there's any other visits. I've talked briefly some with Jonathan after the visit. I could tell how enthusiastic and excited he was off this visit. But we're going to talk more. I'll have a one-on-one, probably more, as far as an article and a feature on, just the visit and his thoughts. But everything I'd heard is they blew it out of the water, and certainly they look like they're in prime position to get him.
Florida State, their footprint is nationwide. They got guys on the roster from Arkansas. They got them from all parts of the country. They've got a guy on campus out of Maryland. The DMV's always been kind to Florida State, or at least in the past it seems like it has. Elijah Moore, a 3-star wideout on campus at Florida State. How good of a visit do you think he had?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much that surprised me, Aslan. And this is not one that I anticipated, that I felt like there would be this big of a shift for FSU, but it was. Based on every day I checked on this, it got stronger and stronger. And then on Sunday morning, I started really hearing that it was really strong. And then, but even then, I was kind of like, I don't know. Ohio State's been the team I've heard the most, and then Elijah came out there, interviewed with us, said FSU's the #1 school. I'm like, I'm still skeptical on that, so I did some checking, and it's pretty verified with some people that would know, and they felt really good about it. So I think that's another one that they're trending in a good direction there. He's a guy that I think will also announce on July 4th. It's going to be a busy Independence Day for FSU, but I think he's a guy they love, they covet, and they've been on him for a while. He's not a guy I've talked all the time about, but he visited in the spring. They've had a long-standing relationship there, and I think just another one of those guys where they just killed it and knocked it out of the park and showed him something that I think a lot of schools haven't shown him, from a personal connection to a school. I think there's a personal connection to Florida State that was just different than any other place that he's been. And certainly a big body guy. You saw that just when you see him in person. He's got the big body you look for, and it will be interesting to see what they do the rest of the class, because they already have several commits already in there. Now a lot of those guys are small guys, so be interested in what happens with James Madison, who we've talked a lot about, that also a visit this weekend. So, but I definitely feel good about where they're at with Elijah Moore, and I feel that's another one that I think they're probably going to get good news on.
Elijah Moore listed at 6'4", 190 out of Good Counsel High School in Olney, Maryland. How do these things happen, Michael? I mean, this, just in this day and age, we seem to know every single player that's on the
Yeah.
board, how they're trending, and like a kid shows up on an official visit, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, Ohio State, team that's been killing it for 10 straight years. I don't care anymore. I'm all about Florida State. How does that kind of come about?
It's just you just keep working on the relationship. You show them, and I say this in my previews for people that watch it. I say this all the time. FSU has to show something unique that's different from other schools, and yeah, other schools can talk about their culture, but it's a little different at FSU when you really talk to guys and dive into it. And I think with that, this is kind of the situation of that where this kid he visited early in the spring, but it wasn't really. It was just kind of a stop by and see and check, and then there was some connections that were building. But I think the official visit, they just they just crushed it, and I think Elijah also sees what this offense is doing. So I think that's kind of how it got shifted. But I think the big shift was the connection personally to the school that's different because yeah, everyone's going to be good, but who's going to be there for you when the chips aren't good, or there's bad times. I mean, you have to have a culture that fits your personality, and I think FSU just nailed it to a T with Elijah during the weekend. That they just nailed things that connected personally with his personality that matched FSU. So I think that was really the big deal how it shifted.
Let's stay with offense. Let's move closer to home.
Okay.
Got to build a little bit of a fence around the Big Bend area here in Florida State and Tallahassee and Florida, the Panhandle. Is it Micah Danzy? Mr. Danzy, I'm just going to call him. 4-star athlete, Michael. Official visit for him. Obviously, he knows this program inside and out, being just right down the road. But how vital of a weekend visit do you think this was for him and Florida State's chances? And where do things stand right now?
Yeah, I think he's told me Micah. That's the way he says it. It doesn't look that way, but I think that's what he has told me before. Yeah, local kid, Florida High University, kind of the filler school for FSU in the past. They've gotten guys like Brandon Jenkins from there. So certainly some talented guys that they've gotten from that program. And then it's been FSU for a while. So this is one that I think the Jonathan Daniels one didn't surprise you too much, and this one's even more didn't surprise you because he's local. They've been the leader for so long, and this is another one where they just nailed it. Really good academic presentation for when I hear, and just his fit into the program. And I told people before this weekend I felt like FSU is going to really push to secure his commitment. I think that's coming up. I think you'll see something in July. I don't have a date, I think, for that one, but I do think it's going to be coming up in the summer. Speedy guy, really fast, great track guy, which they did a great presentation as well for the track. Shout out to Ricky Argo, the sprint coach, and in the FSU coaching staff over there. He did a tremendous job of just really making a strong impression. But this is one I think it's been trending FSU for a while, but then it got even stronger, I think, after this weekend. And I think he knows, like, hey, I'm the guy they want. I'm the guy they've focused the most on. If you follow everything we've done with all these, hot boards and tend to watch, Micah's always been on there, very high up there. He's been the most realistic running back target we've said to go along with Cam Davis. And then another cool moment I thought today was, on Saturday, Cam Davis came over and helped recruit him. So I think that signifies what the culture they're doing at FSU and building, that great players want to have other great players around them. When you have a guy that plays the same position as you and he's going over there and he's recruiting you hard, I think it's a big deal. So, yeah, it's another one I think FSU should expect good news from down the line this summer.
Listed as an athlete, a lot of the video that we're seeing here on his huddle film, Michael, is him playing running back. What do you think his future is at the next level here?
Yeah, he's definitely going to be a running back, but a running back with a lot of different traits, kind of like what Lawrence Toafili does for FSU. Can run between the tackles, very good. But I think what people can see is just his receiving skills are very dynamic. And then when he gets an open field, he is electric as he get one of the fastest running backs out there you will find, I think, in the South. So This is a guy that they didn't take for chances. Grew up an FSU fan, but they didn't. They were like, okay, you're an FSU fan. We'll go after you when we feel like it. They, from the very start, FSU made him a really big priority. Not going to say he's the top guy always on the board, but he was one of the top guys from the start, and they didn't let up. And certainly a guy that they wanted in this class because he's different from Cam. And I've talked about versatility in their rooms. You look versatility with their tight ends, versatility with your offensive line, and then versatility, I think, at the running back group. I think they wanted to have somebody that was different in Cam, and I think Danzy fits everything you're looking for.
Let's talk about one other guy on the offensive side of the ball. We do these live chats weekly, bi-weekly, every so often, Wednesdays, usually, sometimes Thursdays. You should all check them out. You probably know already.
Yeah.
But, people are talking about Kylan Fox, a tight end out of Grayson. He had been on social media tweeting about UCF dropping some hints, and we don't try to put too much stock into social media sometimes, but sometimes if there's some smoke and fire and it's all legit here. He's, again, 4-star tight end out of Grayson, was going to kind of pair with Landon Thomas, give this program a really incredible 1-2 punch in terms of recruiting out of the high school level.
Right.
He was on campus for an official visit. Were you able to catch up with him? Is there any different feel for whether these sort of UCF things are hints, or is it just, smoke signals?
At first I was like, it's just kind of smoke signals, maybe not too much. But then, the more you dove into the weekend, first Friday was really good for the official visit. Then Saturday I started hearing more about, hey, you know what, this might not happen because I think the big hang up here is his family wants him to be a 1. And we already know FSU has a number 1, and that's Landon Thomas. That's the guy. Like, that's their number 1 target. So I think that plays into this, where I feel like he wants to go somewhere where he's going to be that number 1. And I think UCF can be that place. I think the visit was fantastic. I don't think they did anything wrong, but that's just the gut feeling I have on people I talk to and the intel I get, that's kind of shifted, where I think FSU wanted to see if they could pull it off, where to get this 2 tandem together with Landon. But to go back, you're dealing with personalities, and guys want to be number 1. I don't care what position you're at. People want to be the guy. And I think with FSU, he was going to be another guy that's really talented, but Landon was going to be the guy. I think at a place like UCF or even Georgia Tech, he was going to be the main focus. So I don't think that one's going to work out for FSU. I like UCF to probably win out, but I was told, just probably like an hour ago, it's not over. FSU's still going to push it. So this isn't the case where they just cooled and it's like, oh, well, we got Landon. Like, they're still trying, but I think they're trying to work the angle of, hey, focus on the offense of what the offense is, not who's number 1, who's number 2. Focus on what we're going to do and utilizing you. So FSU's still working that angle. I don't think it's a done deal. I don't think he's told anybody like he's for sure coming, but I would lean towards UCF at this moment, even after the FSU official visit.
Kylan Fox, 6'4.5", tight end out of there, again, out of Grayson High School there in Georgia. All right, let's pivot over to the defensive side of things. Large human being, fast, athletic, large human being. We like those guys. 4-star edge, D.D. Holmes on campus, Michael. How big of a target, priority is he for Adam Fuller and this defensive staff, do you feel?
Major priority, especially with them losing out on Dylan Stevenson to Stanford. You got to get somebody. They don't have a defensive end in this class, and this kid looks like $1 million. I saw him several times this weekend. Looks phenomenal. You love the body frame of what he can put on, and I just love everything, just his personality, the way he connects, and just seems like a guy that would fit FSU very well to go along with his incredible skill set. I think he's a really good edge guy that can come out to the pass at the quarterback and certainly create a lot of havoc. Very long, got long arms, even though his frame is slender to a certain degree. But I like a lot of what this guy does, and I think they did a really good job over the weekend. And I would say another key too with him is Elijah Moore. We mentioned him earlier. Both of them are from Maryland. And kudos to our Matt Lassier. Matt went up there at 5 a.m. to get Dede, because Dede had to take a flight at like 6 or 7 a.m. Matt got up there, got the story. It was on Warchant first thing in the morning. Man, Matt's a warrior. He's probably sleeping right now, but
I hope. I hope.
he was a warrior. He got him, and he mentioned that to Matt, like how that would be pretty significant if there was another Maryland guy there in his recruitment, to have somebody and you're comfortable with. I don't know if they're friends. I take it they are, but I thought that was an interesting kind of quote and thoughts that Matt got from DDO the weekend, and I think they crushed it on the visit. I think they did a really good job. I think South Carolina, FSU were the two teams I've heard the most frequently. It's a little bit with Rutgers, but mostly FSU and South Carolina. And I think FSU, for me, I think is trending off that visit. Now we have to see what wears off, what doesn't, when he weighs out the pros and cons. But I think the momentum in buzz is with FSU coming off that visit.
D.D. Holmes, 6'6", 240 pounds, out of Gonzaga Prep. Home of Caleb Williams, the reigning Heisman Trophy winner out there in Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. All right, there was even more dudes, if you can believe it, everybody, on campus this weekend. Matt and Michael got everything over on the warchant.com premium recruiting board. For real, like, I know I'm doing the whole sales pitch thing, but for real, like, if you want to know about all these guys and what's going on, it's all over there on the PRB, and it's there as soon as these guys get it done because they're pros. That's what they do. On the way out, though, Michael, this quarterback they've got, this Luke Romanhawk kid, man, relentless. He's a more of a salesman than I am, apparently. He's driving. I just have to walk across the hallway and come here and film this stuff. He's driving down from Savannah and trying to get everybody on board, man. How impressed you continue to be with Luke and just how sold out he is for this program right now.
He's unreal. I thanked Luke again in person today for the diary. If people haven't watched it, go back and watch that diary. I mean, it was phenomenal from the Elite 11. He was great. I just continuously be impressed because here's the thing people don't know. Recruiting for other recruits is not something everyone can do. Not everyone has that skill to connect with people because sometimes you push too hard. Sometimes you don't push enough. Sometimes you don't have a outgoing personality that connects with people. It's like every time Luke is on campus, I get texts from families and recruits that have never met him. They're like, man, this guy's charismatic. I like this guy. I connect with him. He doesn't like push to, make you feel uncomfortable. He pushes enough where he's building relationships. And Luke kind of touched on that with our story we did on him on the front page, written by Ira today. I think he touched on that. Just his presentation, his pitches of what he does. But the guy is an amazing recruiter. It's too bad they can only have him for 1 year to recruit. But he's going to be an amazing salesman for FSU. Once he's in that program, he's hosting official visitors because there's certain guys that have a quality that can connect with players without being cocky or coming arrogant. And I think with Luke, he just, the way he opens up, the way he connects with you from a personal standpoint, even if you go to FSU, you don't go to FSU, there's a relationship that's there forever. And I think he does that better than anybody as far as when you watch the way he recruits, the way he sells stuff, the way he wants to build a bond, whether you go there or not. And it really resonates with a lot of these recruits, even guys that I remember that didn't end up at FSU. They're like, man, Luke Cromwell is the guy that I love being around. And if I did go there, FSU, he would be one of the big reasons why, because I that's the guy you want to be around. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying is he's a guy you always want to be around. And he did an incredible job throughout the weekend. I don't know how he did it with juggling all these guys with 14 official visitors and even a few unofficial visitors. So I think Luke's been a tremendous asset to FSU. And Luke even said his mom's out there recruiting. So I guess maybe he gets it from his mom.
There we go. As Michael said, like over a dozen guys officially visiting this past weekend. Updates on these guys all over on warchant.com's premium recruiting board. And then here in maybe 2 weeks, we'll start seeing the fruits of this labor pay off with some commitments because folks be getting impatient out there. What's going to be going on over on the premium recruiting board here in the next few days, Michael?
Yeah, so we got more features. Like I said, I'm going to get up with Jonathan Daniels. Hope to have a one-on-one. I will have one guy we haven't talked about, 4-star DB, Jalavis Solomon. I got up with him. I'm going to have a feature on him. That's probably going to pop in the morning. And then if you haven't seen it already, I just posted probably about an hour ago a recruiting wrap that covers all 14 official visitors. I give a note to every single one of them. I go in detail about all of them. So we'll have a lot more features. We got a lot more thing. I think Matt's got a really good story that's coming up on the receivers that visited over the weekend. That includes, the commits like Tawaski Abrams, obviously Camden Fryer and several other, James Madison and even Elijah Moore thrown in there. So got a lot more coming up, guys. It's just getting started. Then later next week, I'm going to do a 10 to watch while you guys are popping the fireworks. I'm going to work on that a little bit and see where things stand as far as that 10 to watch with these decisions coming up in July.
Thanks again to Michael Langston. Again, you can check out all of his work along with Matt Lasserre, our recruiting analysts, reporters over on the premium recruiting board of warchant.com. We'll have 2 more shows this week. Thinking maybe Renegade Express will be your Wednesday program, and then we'll either do a Thursday or Friday. We'll try to get an interview. Listen, everyone's schedules are wonky. Trying to get some LSU folks on here to talk about the game, but they're out in Omaha right now. But we'll try to effort to get one of them, if not maybe a national reporter to talk maybe some realignment stuff. So your suggestions have been heard and noted. We're trying. Trust us. Again, that's a wrap. Thanks for listening to Wake Up Warchant, presented by the Corner Pocket Bar and Grill. Jeff Cameron Show, 1 to 3 o'clock Monday Smash, not the Sunday Smash. The Monday Smash also going down 6 or 7 p.m. I think 7. I should know this. I love you guys. Just tune in. Thanks. Have a great one.